There are literally hundreds of games on Microsoft's subscription platform Game Pass and millions of hours to be enjoyed. But with more content than you or I could ever even play, how do video game companies with feature-rich games like these stand out over everyone else? The answer, ladies and gentle geese, is the Game Pass diet. Sounds weird, right? To understand completely, we gotta go back. Way back. It was a little too far back. Much better. You see, back in the day, every game released the same way. You had your A-tier $60 games, you had your B-tier $40 games, and then you had your occasional shovelware. Except for this one. This was a good one of those. But the prices of these games caused something unintentional. You see, to compete with other full-price games, developers had to add as much additional fluff to their games in order to get you to pick their game over the other guys. We're talking your Assassin's Creeds, your Far Cry's, your Anthems, your Cyberpunk 2077s, all jam-packed with features and modes. The games had to sound cool, they had to look cool, and most importantly, they had to be worth every single penny you were about to dish out. Like here in Canada, it costs $100 after tax for a brand new game. So yeah, we're gonna make sure that it's worth every single penny. And loony. And toony. You wanted to know if your friends were playing it, if it had a high review score, if it had any post-launch content, or if the multiplayer was fun. But then in a blink of an eye, all of these requirements just sort of disappeared. Enter William Spencer's prize jewel, Game Pass.
This is about gamers having great access to the content from the creators they love on the devices they own.
Suddenly you didn't have to buy every single game that might be interesting and dish out your hard-earned cash for something that didn't float your boat. Instead, you could just subscribe to a monthly fee to get any game that you can imagine. You want that new Halo? Yeah, they got it. You want all of the Dooms? It's there. How about that brand new Peppa Pig game?
Goody, you're here.
You guessed it, they got it. However, it wasn't all Peppa Pigs and Rainbow Sixes. No, sir. The subscription service model started out small. And I mean, really small. Because of that, these guys were really skeptical to put out their games on subscription platforms. Will it even work? How do we get paid? Does it devalue our full-price games? Will consumers even care? Cut to now, and Microsoft has amassed a huge library of games, and to add the cherry on top of this subscription model, Microsoft has been dropping every single first-party release on both Xbox and PC. That's just goose-tastic. That's right. Even now, we are still saying it. Goose-tastic. Okay. So now some companies have embraced the subscription model and the other weirdos just decided to start their own subscription service. But what about for the average goose like you or me? What's the word on the street? Oh yeah, the streets seem overwhelmingly positive, and it makes sense. It smashed the door to brand new experiences, and yeah, I'm gonna keep showing Slay the Spire because it's amazing. Go play it, you wackadoo. It connected you to your friends on multiple different games, and it was all for the low cost of a monthly fee. Now I can finally put my little gooselings to college with these savings. Except I don't have little gooselings, so guess I'll just save money. It became pretty clear Game Pass was blowing up. One by one, companies were pouring in with more and more games. Indie developers were getting record-breaking growth, and everybody else was just being bought by Microsoft.
Microsoft is going to be buying Activision Blizzard.
Then something started happening. Something unexpected. Something that started to change what video games would become. You see, these big budget games were filled with bloat, modes, features, and the kitchen sink in order to get your attention. But some of these games weren't getting the traction that they expected. But that's not new, it happens all the time. Avengers. Except this time it was different, because these smaller, more lean and creative games were getting more attention. And sometimes more attention than even the big guys. You know, the types of games that were immediately fun on boot, that made you want to play more, and most importantly, didn't waste your time. Subscription services weren't competing for your money, because even the best deal in gaming isn't worth any of the money if it can't hold your attention. You see, as video games continued to add bloat, features, and modes, and lost respect for our time, there were these other guys who were taking the opposite approach. And it was working. Amazing games were labeled as flops, major franchises decided to chase trends into a decline, and then video game companies decided to ask an important question. Maybe the subscription model doesn't work after all. Maybe the subscription model doesn't serve the video game. Except one thing, players loved it. It was the best deal in gaming after all. Maybe the question just needed to be reversed. The answer was right in front of these companies the whole time. Video games were not respecting our time, and these guys clearly were. So what were they doing differently? For those who don't know, success on these platforms boil down to the same key metrics. Did you click and how much did you consume? And this last one is extremely important. I'm talking about retention. You see, nobody in the subscription model cares that you started or downloaded their content. That doesn't keep the lights on. Instead, they want you to consume as much as humanly possible, and if you did, they're gonna send you as much content as they have in their repertoire to keep you engaged. Respect these principles and you're in for a wild ride. Ignore them and you end up with less subscribers than a non-Canadian owned Canadian branded coffee company, despite the fact that you're Canada's creator protege. There's a reason that these games have way more playtime than others. They're keeping players engaged and thus players' attention is being retained. Like I can't stop playing Slay the Spire. I love it, it's so good. Like I just need a word that describes it, like Goose-tastic. At the opposite end of the spectrum, look no further than the completion rate of these multi-million-dollar games. Millions and millions of dollars, plenty of fluff, and only a small percentage is even finishing these games. So, if Game Pass values high download and high retention games, and AAA games are nothing more than games filled with fluff, long splash screens, long load screens, replacing real gameplay with treadmill-like gameplay with battle passes, then what do they need to do? The answer's clear as day, and now we can finally circle back. These games need to be on the Game Pass diet. They need a new look to get folks to download the game again, gameplay without the bloat from the $60 days to keep our attention, and you know what, maybe even tighten up the graphics on level 3. The more players that they engage, the more it's gonna spread like wildfire. But here's the Goose honest truth. This isn't the Atkins diet, it's the Game Pass diet, which means Game Pass has to help these little thick boys out. You see, Game Pass treats every single video game as an equal. Players can choose this game over that one, which means Game Pass has answers to hugely important questions. How often are players clicking your game? How often are players playing your game? How do these numbers compare to other games? Now we're getting somewhere. Mark my words, the Game Pass diet will change the industry forever. It'll allow creatives to adapt to real players using real data instead of industry buzzwords. No one downloading your game? Try changing your box art. 50% of players stop playing the campaign after the first level? Try making a more engaging story or more engaging worlds. That feels incredibly unhelpful. I know it's insanely vague, but you know what I mean. Use the data to make decisions. Only 20% of players played 10 matches of your multiplayer? Try thinking of how to make the gameplay actually fun instead of faking retention with battle passes and microtransactions. Of course, these decisions aren't as easy as I'm making them out to be, but the truth is that the Game Pass diet provides all the tools that a traditional $60 game needs to go from this to this. But like I said before,
it's not all Peppa Pigs and Rainbow Sixes.
Game Pass might be the best deal in gaming today, but to keep the content flowing tomorrow, Microsoft has been buying more and more of your favorite video game franchises and approaching the dreaded video game monopoly in the process. So you're definitely going to want to click this video to see how video game monopolies are going to affect you and the games that you love. Keep it cute.